Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex Down to Business Podcast. Thank you so much for listening or watching this episode. Today we have a special, and I mean special treat for you. Mr. Eric Heil, owner of Fay-Ark Lawn Co, 20-year-old millionaire, has very little debt, incredible story. You're going to enjoy this episode. Join us today. Make sure you leave a comment, anything you got in mind when you're watching this. We want to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. Eric, for people who don't know who you are, you are one of the more intriguing people I've ever met in my life. I'm going to say a couple things. You're 20 years old, right?
Yep.
You own a house.
Yes.
You're married and have a child on the way.
Yep.
I mean, this list goes on and on. You have a lawn and landscape business that did $800,000 in revenue at the age of 19.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be a millionaire by the time you're 21. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. There's nothing to be weird about with that. That is absolutely incredible. We're talking net worth millionaire, by the way. You don't have $1 million in your bank account, but
nope, not yet.
Your business is worth at least $400,000 or $500,000 plus your other assets should put you around $1 million. Eric, how did we get here? Tell the audience your story. I mean, you and I connected a couple years ago through some, just business conversations, coaching, whatever. You were asking me a few questions on how to scale, if I remember correctly, and how to hire people. Wasn't that our first conversation? Was like, how do you find adequate people?
Yeah, because I used you for business coaching and like normal stuff I had under control.
Yeah,
but growing a team's the biggest challenge, I think. And
I agree. Sales is not. It can be for some people, but I don't think sales is as hard as people think. I definitely think it's the 3 to 4 crew number is the pain point. I don't think second crew's that hard. Third crew's not that hard, but when you start pushing that fourth truck out every day, I don't know, four or five, depending on what kind of work you're doing, I think is the pain point. And you're at how many now? How many crews?
4.
There it is. That's why we're on here today. So Eric, tell us how we got here. Tell me when you started doing lawn and landscape work. This is not a green industry podcast, but this is a podcast where we talk about services and trades. And you have one of the more amazing stories. I think it's going to help a lot of people see the possibilities in their business. So when did you start your business? When did you see that it could be what it is today somewhat? And just kind of tell people a little bit about yourself.
So I started it my junior year in high school, just mowing some rentals for my father-in-law and just trying to get some side cash because I didn't have time to get an actual fast food job or retail. And I didn't want to do that anyways. Sure. I grew up on a farm, was helping with cutting hay in the summer and whatnot. So I had to be flexible and do it on my own schedule. And I mean, I had 7 to 10 yards that first summer. My senior year, I decided to just keep going with it just because it was good income at the time. Still in high school, so I didn't have a lot of time because I was playing sports and everything. So it started my senior year, I had 20 and I dropped out of one of my classes to keep up with all my yards.
High school dropout to mow grass. I love it.
Yeah. It was a college class, and at that time I knew I wasn't going to college.
Right.
So
I
just bare minimum to get done with school and just work. And originally had planned to go work for my dad in his electric business, but since it had grown to 55, 60 yards by the end of that summer, I decided to take this on full time.
This is 2020 or 2019?
That was 2019.
Okay.
And so spring of 2020 basically got up to 100 yards that year. Started doing more landscape type work. Hired my first full-time guy and had 2 full-time guys by the end of 2020.
Help me understand how you went from 50 to 100. Was that you're really good at marketing, like organic marketing, guerrilla marketing, whatever you want to call it? How did you do that?
So from day one, I think I had to Google my business, and I wanted to grow that because I always wanted to see lawn care, Fayetteville, Arkansas, I wanted to see my company at the top page.
Right.
So I was very intentional with that. And then my social media, I was always posting our work. And then we did a bunch of door hangers the first 2 years.
Door hangers. Love the DH.
Yeah.
Door hangers. Things are the best return imaginable, are they not?
Yeah. I mean, I put out, there's 3 neighborhoods that we did consistently for 2 or 3 times, and we have 15 plus yards in each.
That's crazy cool. I think I've told you the story, Eric, and for our listeners who don't know, when we were scaling around that 800 number, I think we put out 10 to 15,000 door hangers, and the return was stupid. I think we got 120, 150 calls off the door hangers, and probably retained 70, something like that. But okay, so door hangers was the secret sauce, and that got you to, that 100, client mark, which when you get to that 100 client mark on recurring revenue, like lawn maintenance is, that probably gave you the confidence of like, hey, I've really got a shot here. Like going from this is a pretty nice side hustle where I'm making income that I never dreamed to wait a second, I've got the makings of a real business. Like my son can run the business, right? That number probably was around when you started believing that this was a real deal thing, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, spring of 2020, when it seemed like our March was just booked up with flower bed work.
Yeah.
And like we were still slammed even before mowing started.
Right.
Realized that like it could continue to grow very quickly. And I mean, in 2020, it was me and 2 guys. We were just mowing Monday through Thursday and then doing landscape stuff on Friday and Saturday if we needed.
Yeah.
So we didn't do a ton of landscaping, but by the time we got to 2021, I'd say midway through the year is when I decided that I wanted to continue to go a lot deeper into the landscape,
the big project stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is why we have the podcast, to help me and be vulnerable here for a moment. At night when you were, because I know what it looks like, there that jump point, right, where you're like, you're in your room and you're like, okay, I'm doing this much of revenue a month. And there's a point where you come face to face with yourself where you go, do I want to risk it, put money into it, hire people, or do I want to kind of stay where I'm at? And I think a lot of people in the lawn and landscape industry in general, this is where they get stuck because they're making money, they're doing pretty well, and they're so nervous for it to go away. What did that conversation look like with yourself because I know you have a little bit of debt, but you have very little debt. Isn't that right?
Yep. I mean, I took out
and I'm
every
asking,
single truck.
Sorry, I'm asking that to say you've put a lot of money into this, like cash.
I mean, not really.
How's that?
So I bought my first truck at 15. I bought that off of basically cattle that I've raised and sold.
Did you say cow?
Yep.
Oh my God. That's the best story ever. Hey, how'd you get your lawn care company started, Chris? I raised old Bessie, sold her off, and bought old Ford truck. That is so funny. That's an Arkansas guy for me. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I've only put, I think, maybe $5,000 of my own money into it.
Wait. There's no way. You're not reinvesting profits from the company back into the business?
Yeah, but I started with $5,000.
No, I know, but you're saying your initial investment was only $5,000, but what I was trying to explain is you're putting money that you could be using for a boat or for an RV in deciding, instead of buying stuff for yourself, you're putting it back into your company is what I'm trying to get at, right?
Yeah, I didn't start paying myself. I paid myself bare minimum until last July.
Right. So that's why I was asking that question. What made you, whether at nighttime with your fiance, now wife, what was that crux conversation or point where you went, you know what, I'm going to make sacrifices financially today so that I can do things that change my life tomorrow? What was that conversation or prayer like? Because this is where a lot of guys struggle. This is like the crossroads.
So I believed it'd be a long-term company. And I mean, I've seen my dad, he's had his electric for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he took out the bare minimum when he first started to get it up and running. And I don't want to take money out for a short-term, just fun money, than investing in equipment, investing in people to grow this company to where 5-10 years down the road, I can take it out then once the company is stable and enjoy it with my family versus just going out on the weekend or whatever.
Exactly. I mean, like, I kind of want to camp here for a couple minutes because for a lot of people listening, we have, 400, 500, 600 people listening on average per episode. So I would believe the majority of people who are struggling in their business, this is where they're not being honest with themselves. Would you agree, Eric, with the people you talk to? Is they're like, man, why can't I grow, or why can't I get better equipment? And it's because they're not willing. They're able, but they're not willing to do exactly what you just said, which is short-term versus investing in your company. They want a nicer truck today. They want a nicer vacation today. I'm not saying you shouldn't have those things, by the way. This is where, like, the message always gets turned that it's, well, I mean, I don't want to work for 5 years and not go on vacation. Not saying that at all, right? I can say, for an example, my family, my wife, and we have 2 kids, and then we have another baby on the way. We go on lots of small, like 3 or 4 day trips. I think we go on one probably every other month, but it's pretty inexpensive. Like, we decide right now we don't want to go spend $3,000 on vacation. We go on like a weekend trip, right? Because I'm trying to scale this business. So I'd rather not spend $9,000 in vacations a year. I'd rather spend $2,500. So I just love hearing you say that, because when people hear me say it, it's one thing. When people hear a 20-year-old say it, it's another. So, okay, Eric, that's amazing. So tell me where you're at today. Like, so you've scaled this now, you're growing it. Tell people kind of where you're at today and what your business looks like, because it's incredible.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we've got around 225 maintenance accounts, commercial and residential. Got doing a lot of landscaping. I've got 10 guys right now, and so that's between 4 crews.
10, man, that's so crazy. Where do you guys work out of? Like, do you have like some property? You rent somewhere? What's that look like?
So my family farm, we run everything out of there. Okay. So, I mean, my dad ran all of his stuff out of there until he bought a shop last year. So he moved out of there, and I was in a couple storage containers in the back, just kind of crammed in, making it work. And once he moved out, it opened it up quite a bit.
Sweet. So, how far is that from your radius of work? Is it pretty close?
Yeah, it is. Okay. So, I mean, like, it's 15 minutes from one town, 7 minutes to another.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. So your house that you bought and you're living in, how far is it from the shop?
7 minutes.
Man, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I ask those questions again because, as we know, especially with gas prices, I'm not a big route density guy. Like, that's been like a hot word for like 2 to 3 years. Everybody, I don't know if you're on Lawn Life. I'm in the group Lawn Life on Facebook. And gosh, every day someone's posting about route density. And I understand what they're saying. You do need as many yards in neighborhoods as possible, but like, they literally act like another 4 minutes down the road is a sin, right? So I'm not big on like overreacting to that, but that's really, really good. My house is 11 minutes from our shop, so I'm in the same boat. But okay, so you have 10 employees. You have 4 crews. Tell us kind of what a day-to-day looks like for you. So for somebody listening right now, like I said, most people that listen are business owners, but some that listen, I had a girl come up to me this weekend actually who works like a normal job. I knew her from high school. She goes, "Hey, I don't know if you know, but I listen to the Down to Business podcast all the time in my office. I think it's so interesting hearing business owners talk about what it looks like on a day-to-day." So for you, Betsy Darnell, who's listening, hopefully this episode, Eric, at 20 years old, what does a day-to-day look like for a 20-year-old who owns $1 million landscaping business? What does that look like? Tell me what your day starts with, goes through, and ends with in a couple minutes.
So, I mean, I get up at 4:45. Me and my best friend go run every morning. After that, I come, make sure all the schedules are good for the day. Just kind of get last minute things lined out. Get to the shop at 6:30, 6:45.
Okay.
Talking to the crew. Mainly the crew leaders will get there a little bit early, but we have every morning early just to go over stuff each week where we're just communicating well.
Mm-hmm.
And then once all the crews are sent out, if I need to take some material somewhere or just go to any job to walk through something with them, I'll do that in the morning. Then after that, I normally either come back to work in the office or doing sales and estimates. And that's the majority of my day. But if I have to go, I'm not really in the field much. If I am, it's normally an issue. Something's gone wrong. So it's a good thing if I'm not in the field and I'm just me.
Do you have a quality control manager or anything like that yet? Or is that your next move?
That's the next guy.
Sweet.
I've got a guy that I know he can do it. It's just probably gonna ride it out this 22, and then 2023 get him in there full time to be an operations manager.
Love it.
I mean, some jobs I spend 2 to 3 hours just getting materials, plants, etc. to a job.
Right.
And it takes up a lot of my day, and it can be spent a lot better doing sales or office work or whatnot.
Let's camp on this. Great point. A lot of people are afraid to hire that person because of the salary, right? It's a large number, larger than they're used to paying someone, right? Mm-hmm. You said an interesting point that I'd love for every person listening to the show to kind of hone in on. You said that when it takes a majority of my time running materials, it soaks up your time to do the things you're good at that creates revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we do the math here real quick, if you're doing 2 to 3 hours of that per day, 4 days a week, right? 8 to 10 hours, your time is that's 1 day a week that you're running materials around, where you as the main salesperson could be generating 5, 6, 7 more quotes and leads during those 8 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think people understand that sometimes, right? They think, well, I can do it. It's no big deal. I'd rather not pay. I hear this all the time, Chris. We've heard this a million times. I'd rather not pay somebody to do that. I'll just do it, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I had that thinking at first, like, well, I can do this. And I was doing everything.
Yeah.
Like 2020, I was doing everything. 2021, I was doing mostly everything. Like I started to delegate just some small stuff, even if it's just sharpening blades, watering plants we have, or whatever. And just, I'm still learning to delegate. It's just an ongoing thing. But the quicker you can learn to trust other people with those tasks that, say it's a $10 an hour task, but you need to be doing the $100 an hour task, selling, creating more revenue versus just small checklist.
Yep. I love that, Eric. So, okay. Amazing. So tell me kind of like, what are some of let's get to some of the messy, the difficult parts, and just be honest and transparent as you can. Because one of the best things about this show is people love hearing it from an owner or for someone high up in a business. What's been a huge pain point or, dare I say, even depressing, like weighing heavy on your shoulders thing the last 90 days?
I mean, the biggest thing is, I'd say employee issues is probably number one. But number two is just like, you only have so much time in a day and you want to spend it with your wife or kids, or with our families, or we just have a lot going on right now with the baby. And it's just time management. It's just tough because, I mean, I don't get everything done by around 5 that I'd want to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I got to do what I got to do to keep it. And I mean, it's just this short-term versus long-term return. Again, I'm going to do what it takes right now, where in 5 years, I don't have to do that.
That's something that's a great point. I appreciate you saying that because it feels like the list never ends, right? Is like the things that didn't get done today get added to tomorrow. And next thing you know, it's that Friday and you're like, gosh, I still have 20 things that I felt like I had to do by the end of this week. How, I don't know. I'll tell you how I combat it versus how I'd love to hear your answer. I do a thing sometimes, and I haven't had to do it as much lately because our team is getting better and better. But I used to, like months ago, I would work most nights from 10 p.m. to 12 p.m., catching up on those things that didn't get done during the day. Do you have a thing, a tactic, a strategy, or anything you're doing, or are you just working like crazy, man, right now?
So, I mean, if I don't get it done around 5, and I normally try and push all the stuff that I can do without any customer communication or anything, I try and push it off towards night unless I know I have that time in the day to get it done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically, once we're about to just settle down for the night after we eat dinner around 8 or so, I'll come in here, get it all knocked out. It normally doesn't drag on too long, but I mean, it's 30 minutes or so just to try and get caught up on all the checklist items that seem never ending.
Makes sense. I encourage you to try to do the thing I do, which is wait till she goes to bed. I encourage you. I've, especially with kids and I've got a third one coming, is like my wife goes to bed pretty early, like 9:30, 10 at the latest. The best times I have is when I'm most intentional with her. And so I'm not, looking at Jobber on my phone. Shout out. Do you use Jobber as well? Or use Element?
I use Jobber.
Oh yeah. Jobber boys. I didn't even know that. I love Jobber. Jobber's one of our show sponsors. They're fantastic. And, Jobber's so easy. The app on your phone's so easy, right? It's so easy to like check your phone real quick because the app's so good. And just next thing you know, you're in the app for 10 minutes. But, so that, yeah, people's definitely, it's funny. I was telling this, who was I telling yesterday? I think I was telling our manager, Paul, who was not with us, last year. He's new this year. He's awesome. I was telling him how COVID in 2020 didn't affect our business at all. 2021, it did some, more like inconvenience, but nothing crazy. And then all of a sudden in 2022, it's literally been everything I thought in 2020 when it got announced that COVID was here. I mean, we can't get big units. We can't get parts. There's shortages on everything, right? Employees, difficult to. I've had 9 people stand me up for interviews in the last 3 weeks after like an initial phone interview. So it's just a really strange world right now. What do you tell, a young entrepreneur, Eric, about pushing through? I know you're a man of faith like I am. And so I'm sure that some of that has to do with your faith in Christ and being able to remember at the end of the day that it doesn't really matter. Our businesses are but dust, right? But what's kind of your thing that you center yourself back on after all these difficult challenges?
I mean, I just pray about it because, I mean, it's not in my control what happens. I mean, all the stuff in the economy and everything going on right now, there's nothing that I can do about it. So I want to do what I can control, and that's, I mean, be frugal, just save, don't go out and blow a bunch of money.
I love that.
Like, I'm basically just be frugal, do what it takes, because we know hard times are about to hit. And if you can do that now, and then when good times do come back, you'll succeed and grow very rapidly. Yeah,
let's wrap up with that point. I mean, Eric, you've said 3 things that have just been amazing. You said save and be frugal now so that when good times come, dare I say, and tell me if I'm right here, you can be proactive even more because you're in a good position. I like to call it the power position, right? Is that how you feel kind of? Is like if you can weather the storm, then you come out on the other side and you actually can you can grow faster because you got through it, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, and if someone is in a tight spot right now, you just need to get to where you're not going to be scared and afraid during this recession that's upcoming.
It's definitely coming.
And, you just need to be prepared and not scared is the biggest thing.
I love that. Prepared, not scared. Eric, this I could talk to you for 2 hours about this stuff, but we're getting up on our time here. Eric, tell people where they can find you on social media. I know we work with you here at Pure Marketing as well. We did your website. We've been doing some of your social media stuff, which seems to be doing great, working really outstanding. Tell people where they can find you so they can follow. I mean, your story, one of the best, I think, in the country. I'm not just saying that. I literally am very inspired by you, and I think you're going to help a ton of people who listen to this episode today. Where can they find you on social media or email you if they want to connect and ask you some questions?
The best place would be Instagram, and it's Fay-Ark Lawn Co. And then my email is fayarklawnco@gmail.com. And I mean, I'm on Facebook and TikTok too, but Instagram would be the best
Instagram.
way.
I love Instagram for messaging. Awesome, Eric Hill. Well, thank you so much, guy. And we love you, brother. Appreciate you being on the show today. Guys, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. If you are a listener, make sure you check out Eric's social media handles. He's got some amazing things going on in his life. He's got a baby coming, just got married, and his business is absolutely incredible. You're listening to this episode of the Down to Business Podcast. Alex Kirby, Eric Hill, a 20-year-old entrepreneur, soon to be a millionaire here soon, and just an outstanding guy who loves the Lord. So, Eric, again, thanks, guys. See y'all next time.